The street was quiet, but only just. Neon lights from a nearby deli flickered over Evelyn Johnson, highlighting the silver threads in her short, curly hair. She walked slowly but with dignity, carrying a small shopping bag, her eyes scanning the familiar block in Harlem, NYC. Then came the first sign of trouble, a loud, mocking laugh. A young man in a leather jacket stepped from the shadows, leaning against a brick wall with a cigarette dangling from his lips. His friend snickered behind him. 3 more boys, all confident, all cruel. "Look at Grandma," he said. "Think you on the sidewalk?" Evelyn's eyes narrowed, not with fear, but with measured patience. She paused, adjusted her scarf, and continued walking. The leather-jacketed bully stepped forward, blocking her path. "I said, look at me," he barked. Evelyn stopped. Her voice was calm, even. "Step aside, young man. You're in my way." The crowd of teenagers laughed. That's when it happened. A sharp, stinging slap across her cheek. Evelyn's hand flew to her face. Pain burned, but more than that, shock. The bully's friends erupted in laughter. "Learn your place, old lady," the boy sneered. Evelyn straightened immediately. Her eyes burned with quiet fury. She didn't move violently. She didn't scream. She simply stood tall, staring at the young man, letting the weight of her presence speak. And in that instant, a shadow fell across the alley. A tall figure emerged, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed in a sharp black suit. His hair cropped short, eyes like molten steel. He moved with the calm precision of a predator. Dominic. The world seemed to pause. The air thickened. Even the neon lights flickered. The bully froze. Seconds later, Dominic Johnson, Evelyn's son, Mafia boss, protector, and storm incarnate, was standing behind her. The message was clear. Anyone who touched his mother would pay. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's video, we want to thank you for your support, love, and kindness. We wouldn't have come this far without you. Subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue to bring you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. The bully's laugh faltered as Dominic's eyes locked on him. "You hit my mother?" Dominic's voice was calm, but the words cut sharper than any knife. Aishi, the bully stammered. Dominic stepped closer. His shadow fell over the boy like a storm cloud. "Out of respect for the law, I'm going to give you one chance to explain yourself," Dominic said evenly. The young man faltered, his arrogance evaporating in the face of authority he hadn't recognized. Evelyn placed a steady hand on Dominic's arm. "No, let him speak," she said softly, her eyes still burning with controlled rage. "Speak, boy," she commanded, her tone sharper than his slap had been. The bully opened his mouth. I was just having fun." "Fun." Evelyn's voice rose slightly. "Fun is when no one gets hurt. Fun is when no one is humiliated. That was not fun. That was cowardice. Shame." His friend shifted uncomfortably, the laughter gone, replaced by fear. "You will apologize," Evelyn said, "and then you will understand the consequences of what you did." Dominic's hand tightened slightly on his mother's shoulder. A warning, silent but clear. The teenager's face turned pale. He raised his hands weakly. I'm sorry," he muttered. Dominic didn't speak immediately. He simply walked past the boy and positioned himself in front of Evelyn. The message was unspoken. She is protected. Suddenly, a passerby, a man in a hoodie, had filmed the incident on his phone. The crowd that had been gathering grew larger as murmurs spread. "You shouldn't have done that," Dominic said, now directing his calm fury at the group. "And if you ever touch my mother again, I promise you will regret it." One of the bully's friends tried to back up his friend. "You think you can scare us?" he said. Dominic's eyes narrowed. There was no anger, only lethal precision. "Scare you? No. Make you accountable? Absolutely." Evelyn watched silently, her hand lightly resting on Dominic's arm. She didn't need to intervene. Her presence, her dignity, had already begun to teach a lesson. The young man finally dropped his gaze. Humiliation washed over him. Dominic stepped closer to the bully. He spoke in a voice so calm it made the teenager's knees tremble. Stepped forward and apologized properly. Not a muttered word. Not a glance. "Look at her." The boy gulped. He turned, looked Evelyn in the eye, and stammered. I'm sorry, ma'am, for hitting you. I was wrong. Evelyn's eyes softened slightly. Good. Now, remember this feeling. Nearby shopkeepers had stopped their work to watch. A deli owner whispered to his clerk. Did you see that? She didn't even fight back. Clerk. Yeah, and the guy's son is like a storm. Another neighbor recorded the scene, posting live to social media. Within seconds, dozens of viewers were watching. Comments appeared. How dare he? Respect your elders. The son is a goddamn legend. Dominic didn't care. He only cared about the immediate threat. Back off, he said to the group of boys, his tone final. Evelyn finally stepped forward. You have a choice, she said to the bully. You can learn from this, or you can regret it, but you will carry this lesson with you either way. The teenager nodded frantically. Dominic's phone buzzed. A quiet alert, subtle. He didn't move to answer, but Evelyn knew the signal. He was already thinking 2 steps ahead. Any escalation? Controlled. Any witnesses? Managed. Mom, you okay? He asked softly, a rare tenderness in his voice. I'm fine, she said, thanks to you. Dominic glanced at the surrounding teenagers. And now you all leave, walk away, and tell everyone what happened here today. The boys scattered, some tripping in their haste, some turning to apologize again before running. The crowd slowly dispersed. Whispers of admiration and awe remained. Rain began to drizzle lightly. Neon lights reflected on wet pavement, turning the alley into a cinematic scene of power, protection, and justice. Evelyn adjusted her scarf. She looked at Dominic. Proud but not boastful. This city can be cruel, she said softly. And so can we be, Dominic replied, a subtle smile breaking his otherwise stern features. Only when necessary, she said. Dominic nodded. Exactly. The bully's phone rang. Social media notifications from the live stream were blowing up. Dominic looked at Evelyn. I'll handle this. You don't need to be involved. She shook her head. I need to see him understand fully. Not just fear me, but respect life, respect others. That's the lesson. The teenager's friends had gone, leaving him trembling and embarrassed. Dominic stepped in close. You think hitting someone smaller, older than you is strength? Dominic's tone was icy. No, I guess not. Good. Then remember this, Dominic said. He tapped the boy's shoulder, firm but controlled. No harm, just authority. Strength is protection. Respect, honor, not cruelty. The boy swallowed. Nod. Fear and respect mingled. Evelyn watched, a quiet smile forming. She knew the moment her son's presence alone had diffused the worst. But the real lesson about dignity, morality, and consequences had just begun. The boy's knees were still shaking as Dominic Johnson released his shoulder, stepping back but never breaking eye contact. The neon drizzle reflected off puddles on the street, turning the alley into an ominous cinematic tableau. You think that slap made you powerful? Dominic asked quietly, almost conversationally. Or did it just reveal how small you really are? The bully swallowed hard. He wanted to laugh, to joke, to pretend this wasn't serious. But the air around Dominic, the calm, lethal energy in his posture, made every instinct freeze. Evelyn Johnson, her posture still upright and proud, spoke softly but with authority. You see, power is not proven by who you can hit. It is proven by how you treat those weaker than yourself. The bully glanced nervously at her, then back at Dominic. I didn't mean... You did, Dominic interrupted, and now you will understand the cost. Evelyn placed a hand lightly on Dominic's arm. He froze for a fraction of a second. Her touch was gentle, grounding, and reminded him the real lesson. Justice is measured, not rushed. From the corner of the alley, a flash went off. Someone had taken a photo. Another phone lit up. The bully slap was already captured, circulating online. Within minutes, dozens of locals were live streaming, commenting, recording. Dominic's voice was calm but carried over the growing crowd. Everyone watching will know exactly what disrespect looks like and who stands against it. The bully's friends tried to intervene, stepping forward. Dominic's gaze shifted sharply. They froze. "You," Dominic said, pointing at the ringleader, "will apologize publicly, not just my mother, but to everyone watching." The teenager swallowed. Sweat dripped down his temple. I'm sorry." Dominic shook his head slowly. "Say it properly. Look her in the eye. Understand your action. Own it." The bully forced his gaze to Evelyn. The camera phones in the crowd recorded everything. He stammered, but finally said, I am sorry for hitting you, ma'am. I understand it was wrong." Evelyn's eyes softened slightly, but she did not smile. "Good. Let that moment stay with you. Not fear, not anger, respect." The surrounding crowd murmured in astonishment. Some whispered admiration for Evelyn, others for Dominic. One teenage girl muttered, "Wow! He's scary, but he's protecting her. That's real." Dominic glanced at Evelyn. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "Yes, but the lesson isn't over." Dominic turned to the group. "You think hitting someone older than you is brave? It isn't. It's cowardice. You will remember this day. Humiliation is a far better teacher than force." The bully's friends exchanged guilty glances. Some muttered apologies. Some turned and fled. Dominic's hand lightly tapped the ringleader's shoulder, not in violence, but in a gesture that said you are accountable, not destroyed. You walk away with your dignity intact. Dominic said quietly, "Lose it again, and next time the lesson will be harsher. Remember that." The bully's knees quivered as he nodded repeatedly. The shame and fear etched into his expression was permanent. Evelyn's voice rang out over the murmur of the crowd. True strength isn't measured by the power to strike. It is measured by the courage to protect and the wisdom to correct. You will remember this. The alley was now packed with spectators. Some had filmed the entire encounter. Cell phones buzzed with notifications. Social media posts exploded. Comments poured in, "Respect your elders. That son is a legend." "She didn't even fight back, but she won." A local shopkeeper whispered to his neighbor, "She's 80 in spirit. He's 40 in fury. Together, unstoppable." Evelyn adjusted her scarf, calm and poised. She didn't need the praise. She only needed the lesson delivered and understood. Dominic's phone buzzed again. A subtle notification. He ignored it. His focus remained on the scene, ensuring the bully understood accountability. "Mom," he said softly, "do you want me to take care of the rest?" Evelyn shook her head. "No, let this be his learning. Let him see the consequences of his actions." The police finally arrived, summoned by bystanders. They surveyed the alley, confused by the crowd. "Sir, ma'am, what happened?" an officer asked. Dominic straightened, his voice calm but authoritative. "This boy assaulted my mother. He has been held accountable publicly and privately. Make sure this is documented properly." The officers exchanged glances. One muttered, "Didn't expect him to handle it like that." Dominic's gaze was sharp. "Don't underestimate accountability. Document everything." The bully, trembling, muttered apologies again as officers wrote statements. The photos, videos, and witnesses ensured that the lesson was recorded permanently. Once the crowd dispersed, Dominic walked his mother to the corner. The city lights glimmered on the wet streets. Rain had stopped, leaving the night crisp and reflective. "You okay?" he asked gently. "I'm fine," Evelyn replied, and proud. "You didn't have to do anything," Dominic said. Evelyn smiled faintly. "I had to show him that dignity can't be taken by force. You just reminded everyone else." Dominic nodded. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, controlled, and permanent. Evelyn reached up and touched his arm. "And that is why you are not just my son. You are my protector. You've learned the value of restraint and measured power." Weeks later, the bully had become the subject of ridicule at school. His humiliation, captured and shared online, became a permanent lesson. The city had witnessed a small but profound justice. Dominic Johnson returned to his business, his mother at his side, their bond stronger than ever. Evelyn continued walking the streets with quiet dignity, knowing the world could be cruel, but that courage and morality could correct it. Violence may seem like power, But courage and dignity are true strength. Evelyn Johnson, though elderly, demonstrated at age wisdom and composure to confront injustice. Dominic Johnson proved that protection combined with restraint and calculated authority can correct wrongdoing without succumbing to cruelty. When faced with disrespect, humiliation, or cruelty, respond with measured action, moral authority, and strength of character. The world may try to belittle you, but dignity and accountability are louder than any slap. Evelyn and Dominic walked home together. The city buzzed around them, neon signs, distant sirens, the smell of wet asphalt. Neither spoke, yet both understood justice isn't always immediate. Sometimes it's witnessed, sometimes it's learned, sometimes it's shared, and sometimes it leaves a lifelong mark on everyone who sees it.